Hello and welcome to finally another Carrots and Cookies episode. Where obviously, as always, my co-host Esutick is here, and we
Hello.
have an amazing guest, Sarcissa. Hello there.
Hi. Thank you for
So,
having me.
thank you for joining us. Before we go any further into what we're going to talk about and everything, I'm not going to apologize or anything, but we had a rough couple of weeks. This podcast was planned like a month ago, I think.
Yes.
Yes.
Or something like that. And all three of us went through some tough days on the days when we were supposed to stream. And obviously, we all wanted to do the podcast. But, sometimes you just can't. It is what it is. So
Life
now
just
we're all
gets in
good.
the way.
Yeah, finally we're here, and I'm super excited to record again. And then I'll throw it over to Esu to kind of introduce you because you too have a story to share.
Yes, we do. Because where do we start? I'm gonna just leave a lot of it through the flow of like your content creation plan and everything. But yeah, we are actual friends in real life as well. We hang out and we even went to Fanfest for Final Fantasy XIV last month.
Yes.
So
You were
got some
supposed to be
exciting
very
stuff to talk
fresh
about that as
after.
well.
I
Yeah.
like how you say that I've got a content creation plan. There's nothing planned about my life, darling. You know this.
You attempt to.
Not gonna
I
The
lie,
attempt.
intention is there.
spontaneous content is the best content as long as it works.
Oh,
You know.
Spontaneous. Chaotic.
Or
Well,
there's
That's
part
full
of
of
it.
words
streams
to
can be a
describe my
bit
content.
spontaneous, but it's all
Yeah.
good because nonetheless, people love you. And I do too. And we're going to dive into it. We're going to dive into how it started. So I'm going to give the word to you, my lovely dear Sarcissa. Tell me a little bit about yourself and about your streaming journey.
So I am Sarcissa. I am in my 30s. Will not say any more than that. And I'm originally from Scotland, but now living in the Netherlands. And I've been gaming since I was about 6 years old. I got my first PC when I was 5. That was in the early 90s for those of you that can't count. And yeah, I've just been gaming for a very, very, very long time. My first console was a PlayStation in 1998. That was my
Okay,
Christmas
wait.
present.
I already have so many questions here.
Yeah.
First of all, console or PC? Who are you? You know? I mean, obviously we can play both, but you're
I've
one.
been a PC. I've been a PC gamer for the longest time.
Okay.
Largely
then-
because it allows me the flexibility, like I can play on a PC or a laptop. Because when I was going through university, I had to switch to different devices
Makes sense.
when I was moving, etc. So
I also don't like the limitations of the console, kind of, where you can only play games on it. Well, nowadays it's getting a bit different, but yeah, when we were growing up, it was not like that. Okay, so the second question was it Windows 95 or 311? If you remember.
That's a good question. My dad's PC was definitely. I remember there being a lot of like 3.0 talk in the house, but my first PC,
Yeah.
like the one I had, my personal PC, was 95.
Yeah. Okay. So what was the first game you remember like being your game to like you're gonna sit on your PC and play this, you know?
Well, I had a lot of educational games. However, I did also have a raft of games that played on MS-DOS. And two of
Oh.
the games that I played, the absolute most there was Micro Machines and Discworld.
Oh my god, I know what. Okay, there we go. But there was this like there was Britannica kind of interactive encyclopedia, and there was Dora the Explorer,
Yeah.
and there was like at that time roughly
Darling Kindersley. Darling Kindersley, I think, is like the UK version, or like
okay.
a UK based kind of, and they produced like so many like kids like books and like interactive CDs and stuff.
These
I
were
had
awesome,
quite a few
actually.
games that were based on stories. So I had like a walkthrough game. It was like you walk through a storybook, but you also have to like you go through like the dialogue as well. So it was an interactive game. You had to solve some puzzles, and it was like Journey to the Center of the Earth. There was Peter Pan. There was another one, so I had a few of those kind of books. But I did also have the original Escape from Monkey Island too.
Oh my god. Do you maybe play Sea of Thieves?
I don't think I did, no.
Okay, so Sea of Thieves like massive multiplayer PvP game, which
Okay.
you know is very different to everything we just talked about. However, it's happening in Caribbean. It has one of the most amazing graphics in the world. They have the best water physics
Oh
ever.
wow.
As someone who has spent most of my life on the ocean, I can tell you, like, when you're on the ship, you feel like water is real. You know, it's really
wow.
good. And they've added Monkey Island playthrough within their game. It's like an adventure where you can play on
Oh
like
yeah, I saw
you
that.
can play on your own or with your friends. There's no PvP.
That sounds amazing.
It's so good. You gotta try it. So there's that, and there's
Okay.
like Pirates of the Caribbean as well. And so
Oh, yeah,
these are
yeah,
like if you own the game, I think it's also an Xbox Pass, but you gotta check. But then these are free. Like you don't have to pay for these like DLCs or whatever.
Oh wow.
So you just go and play
Yeah.
that. You don't need to be a certain level or whatever. It's very simple to jump in, and they last quite long. And it's actually Monkey. Like if you played Monkey Island,
Wow.
you're gonna have some chills trying that. And
Holy moly.
it's really good for streaming as well because it's hilarious. It's really good.
And it's like
Yeah.
with private servers now as well that we're going to implement, right? So you don't have all the PvP griefing as much going on.
Yeah,
Oh, so you can do self-hosted? Like you can host a game rather than Okay.
This is the biggest issue that I have. I would have been like, I would have embraced this game fully as a streamer, but you're always on the edge. Imagine playing World of Warcraft, because I will touch on that, but I know you do. And you don't have like green and yellow zones. Everything's red. So someone can come. Do you play Horde or the Alliance?
Yeah. Both.
Let's say you play Alliance.
The
And-
little
and there's-
eyebrow raise.
The
So
pause.
No,
It
that's
says
fair,
it
fair.
all.
I'm just trying to set the situation. And someone comes to Storm and just claps you out of nowhere, even though you're not flagged or anything. So the game, and the whole game is like you do certain tasks, like find chests or skulls or diamonds, and then you go and sell them, but you keep them on your ship. Anyone who gets on your ship can take them and sell them instead and get the credit. So
I'll be honest, I am like the worst PvPer, so this
That's what
sounds
I'm
like my
saying.
worst nightmare.
it keeps you on your toes too much, and I even though I like PvP, when I feel like it, I felt very anxious playing this game, so I stopped. And I was always hoping they're gonna make a PvE servers, which I would like more than private servers, because private servers you need community around to fill it up.
You would need a bunch of people that were actually playing the game with you to get any enjoyment out of playing the game, because
Exactly.
otherwise you're just playing a solo.
And then seeing other random people that cannot hurt you is just, that's why I play MMOs, right? Like I am not really a single player person, because I need that. They don't have to affect my gameplay, but I know they're around. Like there's another person on that auction house or whatever trying to achieve something. It's happening. The game is not like hand holding me all the time. I'm really sorry. I do this a lot. I do this a
It's
lot.
okay.
But it's all right. It's all right.
I'll ask questions. This is the best part, because it's the same for like two of us bring people that the other person doesn't know, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, I want to know more about this or whatever,
Yes.
So yeah. Okay, sorry. You can continue.
So
telling us about yourself.
yes. So I've been gaming for a very long time. I've played console, I've played PC. I also had an Xbox, so I'm not even just like what's the word? I don't know. Okay, English is my native language. I know it doesn't sound like it, but it is. I will play whatever suits the vibe I'm in at that time. So, for example, like I had a PlayStation when I was a kid, but then later on, my dad actually got me an Xbox for like a later Christmas, because we were in that period of time between like the PS2 and the PS3, and the Xbox came out, and so it was the generation. It came out before the PS3, but it was like in that generation. I was like, okay, this was better. My dad ended up buying it for me for Christmas again. Point of fact, though, all of my consoles always came with Medal of Honor.
Oh,
So you can tell that the console was not just being bought for me. Let's put it that way.
Was father playing Medal of
Oh,
Honor?
my
or-
dad's a massive nerd. He's a, my
Okay.
dad is a massive nerd. Like
That's
that's where I
very
got
cool.
it from. Like, and
Okay.
that was how we bonded. So like I played like I got to help upgrade my PC when I was 11. So like when he upgraded his PC, I would get the parts
Of course.
from his
Yeah.
machine,
That's
and we
cool.
would spend the time in the garage and like install all the stuff. And then when I was 14, I just got a massive box that had all the parts for my new PC, and he was like, "There you go, have fun on Christmas Day." And I had to build the thing myself.
That is awesome.
It's
Yeah.
so relatable.
So that was how
I
we
have to say
bonded.
with my dad.
I didn't. Damn. My parents are very like they know their way around with like the tech. And we had PCs way before. So I'm almost 40. And so we had my mother and father were working, they had their own business and they had these Hercules cards PCs where it's like black and yellow screen. So only DOS, right? Like it only does stuff with those games. So I
Yeah.
was playing like Prince of Persia and Tetris 3D and whatnot in there.
Oh, Prince of Persia.
Yeah. But then these were not really like they would have to trade them in for a newer one for business and whatnot, right? And then
Okay.
when I started getting into it, I actually like took over my grandfather had this idea of he has to become more. That's what he said. He said like he needs to educate himself more in this, but I think he only wanted me and my sister to be at their place more. So he bought a gaming
okay.
rig for
Yeah.
architecture. He was an architect. He was gonna do AutoCAD in it and whatnot. Never did it. And then as the time went, like I took that one and then bought the new one and whatnot. And then I would always, so my sister is 6 years younger than me, so I would always give her my old rig and
Yeah.
just make sure it works properly for whatever she needs. But then if Sims work with maybe 4 gigs of RAM, I'm gonna steal 4 and add to my 8 and have 12. Like it's a big difference,
Yeah.
because in the end I am setting this up. So silly,
Yeah.
but like, when we were kids and whatnot. But unfortunately, she never cared about like figuring it out. She did play games, but like she never really tried, figuring out how things work behind the scenes. Or
Yeah.
whatever.
I think that a lot of that came from the fact that I don't think my dad was never the kind of parent that was like, oh my God, he was so upset that he didn't get a boy. But neither of my parents were musical. Neither of my parents were very athletic or sporty in any way, shape, or form. So, but they were both very, very science focused. And so all the toys I'd had, even from when I was a very small toddler, like it was like wooden Meccano. It was like train sets. It was like all of this kind of thing. So then when it got to that point where my dad was like kind of like getting me into his hobbies, I was already interested in the problem solving and like figuring out how things worked and all the rest of it. So that was probably where I got it from. Because both my parents were in that kind of industry.
Did you have the same? Like, what were your toys when you were young?
My toys were a little bit all over the place. Like, I could definitely tell that my parents tried to give me Barbies and stuff, to which I had mostly was just creatively expressing my creativeness. So I was like cutting the hair and dyeing them and like messing around with
you
the
were
clothes
making
and
weird
stuff.
Barbies.
Yeah, so I started to gradually get more like doable toys like clay and all that kind of stuff, because they started to sense like she might just not really be into these type of toys. We need to give her something that she can work with and fiddle with. But my dad was already like a very big tech geek. He just really loves having gadgets and everything. He gets very giddy when there's like something new technological going on. So he always had to get the newest stuff in the house, even if he didn't always know. Yeah, so it was very early on exposed with like when he brought home his first PC because he had seen the neighbor have a PC and like immediately introduced me to what I could do on the PC in terms of like games and stuff. So yeah, we did have Prince of Persia on floppy as well. I've been playing that like crazy. Obviously I don't remember kind of like in terms of educational what games they were, but I remember that we had a whole stack of Microsoft game discs of all types of Microsoft released published games, one that stood out the most for me was Master of Olympus. I actually got that on Steam many years later because I just couldn't get it out of my head that I spent
nostalgia.
so much time on that as a kid.
I don't know what that is.
Master of Olympus is like a Age of Empires type of strategy game. Obviously, I wasn't doing any strategy. I was just liking to build towns and have people come in and build
This is
pretty
what I was
cities
like.
and everything. Like I was just all about, even with The Sims, I was just about decorating the house and everything. I didn't care about The Sims. I just wanted to make everything look pretty.
Yeah. I had Settlers. I don't know if you guys remember Settlers.
Settlers. I was about to ask
so
if
that
you
was the
guys
game
played
I had.
Caesar as well. Caesar 2, Caesar 3? It's like Settlers.
Civ. I had Civ
No.
4.
Okay.
Civ 4 is where
No,
I
not
kind of
Civ.
ended
No,
up going.
Caesar as like.
No, I know. I don't think I had Caesar.
It's
I'm
so
trying to remember.
similar, actually. You
I
like
thought
you
about
put the
something
plots,
else.
and
My
then
dad
and
was a
then.
big fan of Serious Sam, so I thought that for a second.
Do you know where that was developed, by the way?
What?
In Croatia, is my neighboring country. It's like the only game they were like making for such a long time. That game, though.
Really? My dad was obsessed with that
Wait,
until
wait.
the middle of the night. He would play. I wouldn't get my PC time until he had cleared that game.
Okay, that's not a. How old were you? Like that game is not really good for minors, though. It's a little bit.
But I wasn't playing Serious Sam. He
Well,
was
good for
playing it, and I
minors?
was just waiting to get to play Sims.
So
Do it.
after like we got my PC set up, at a certain point when we started getting the internet, we had to share the modem. And my dad had this bright idea. This was when I was about 11 or 12. My dad has this bright idea. Okay, we're going to install our own network. And my dad's perfectly capable, so we did that. We pulled up the carpet. We did the whole thing really properly. Sockets on the walls, like between his office and like my bedroom, the whole thing. So we shared the scanner, the printer, the modem. First game that we played on that network, Duke Nukem. I was 11.
Okay,
I really
I'll tell
don't feel
you.
like all of that really applies to our generation of growing up. I mean, the amount of things that I had seen as a kid, no
Yeah.
parent wants to give this
Sure.
to their kids anymore. Like
You're playing GTA London, you know, like running around just
watching Star Troopers on TV,
destroying
that
everyone,
sort of
yeah.
things.
Oh my
But,
god, the old GTA games, dude, they were so good.
Yeah, the top
bottom
down?
ones, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my god. 1 and 2, I think I still know the cheat codes and everything. You could have a tank and drive it around. It was crazy.
When I was back home recently, I was doing a whole bunch of clearing out, and I found my original PlayStation and all the games and some of the cheat books that I'd gotten with the magazines. Because remember, you used to buy the magazines, right? And you got the
Yep.
demo discs,
Yeah,
like with
yeah,
the
yeah.
magazines.
I remember a
So
game
I
I got
still
in the
had a
demo
whole
that I
bunch
played
of the
so much.
discs.
Okay, this is
Yeah,
a game
I still had
that
some of the discs and the books with the cheat codes and everything. So yeah.
let's see. The disc demo that I remember from a magazine. Pandemonium.
Wipeout.
Ooh, good
Wipeout
one.
was
Yeah,
a
yeah, yeah,
classic
yeah, yeah.
one
True.
that you got on like every release that they did a release of Wipeout like every 2 years or something ridiculous
play
like
a couple
that,
of
and you would
tracks.
get a demo.
Yeah, yeah. That was good. Any of you played Pandemonium? No.
Pandemonium
That
sounds
was a platformer. It was a
familiar.
platformer with like it doesn't matter. It was like this was the introduction of Voodoo GPU cards. And it had like 3D
wow.
elements in it. So it was like it
Okay.
was also like a benchmark kind of thing. It was really cool.
I
You would
probably
play
didn't
like
play
a
it then.
jester. It's kind of like Rayman, but like 3D-ish,
Yeah.
kind of.
I played Rayman, but those games I played on the console because my PC was just not kept up to date like very regularly with graphics cards. So even though I had a PC when I was younger, like my dad wanted it to be mostly educational.
Of course, he wanted it.
Of
to be.
course.
To
But
be
yeah,
fair,
I guess
playing games is very educational. People don't get it, but yeah, I went through my
it
life
can
with so
be.
much through the games. It's insane, actually.
But yeah, I guess like gaming's just been like a factor of my life. Always, really. I've taken breaks from things at various points. I think I first started playing MMOs. Like I obviously dabbled a little bit in RuneScape. But just on Miniclip, you know, like I never actually downloaded the game or anything like that. But I think the first like real MMO I played was World of Warcraft, and I started back in 2007.
7. Oh no, 1 you could not. 2000. It came out 2004.
2007.
So you played
Yeah,
Burning
I
Crusade.
think
You
I
joined
was.
in Burning Crusade.
I joined the week before Wrath of the Lich King released because I got dragged by the guy I was dating at time to the midnight opening for Wrath of the Lich King.
Okay, wait. Let's put a pause there because I played since vanilla. Okay, so but Esu, do you know what miniclip is?
Or Newgrounds.
I
You remember
played.
Newgrounds? Or
I think
Oh
that
yeah,
was actually.
Newgrounds for sure.
Huh?
I played
Okay.
RuneScape in browser back in the day, but
I
not
never played
very
RuneScape.
into it.
But Miniclip was the website where you had like flash games.
Yeah.
You could play it
Oh.
anywhere, including school.
So basically,
Exactly.
the old Newgrounds, which by the way was another platform that me
Well,
as a minor
exactly, yeah.
should have not been on.
I actually think
Yeah.
that's like just the evolution, right? I think it's probably the same.
Is it
same
not
thing.
Adult Swim these days?
These
that,
days,
like,
I don't know
does-
because I have access to anything I want to play. So
Yeah, no, that's well, Adult Swim I think does like mini like webtoons, just like Newgrounds and like mini games and stuff. I remember because I played Robot Unicorn a whole lot, and that was an Adult Swim game.
okay. Maybe. But that's crazy. That's crazy. Okay. So World of Warcraft. I was about to say, because you obviously played everything that came to you, right? Like it just sounds like it. If you thought it's interesting, you would play it. But you don't stream like that.
Kinda. No. So I think the thing is streaming. The way I started streaming was I actually got to Twitch really late in life. I had no idea about Twitch. I had played so many MMOs, I played with so many people online, but I was not the kind of person that really like bought into like watching YouTubers or streamers or anything like this. I knew people
Okay.
made videos and uploaded them to YouTube. Like I watched guides and I watched like
So-
informational videos on like upcoming releases, but I never kind of made the connection between watching people live.
So your
So
father
I
did not
actually
expose
only-
you to second monitor. That's what it is.
Oh yeah, I did not. I never.
That's the problem.
had the first time I had a second monitor was when I moved to Amsterdam. So like 5 years ago.
Yeah.
I didn't even start streaming with a second monitor.
Yeah, same. I think, or when I had a second monitor, it was like really janky. Like it was actually just like a spare TV,
Yeah, but
like a
but
really
that's
old
what
like
it is,
bedroom
right?
TV
Like
that I hooked up.
this is what you need. I find that people who start using second monitor early were more likely to be exposed to Justin TV, Twitch, whatever, YouTube, stuff like that, because you would play
Yeah.
your game, but at the same time you would watch someone else. It just gives you this feeling of playing with someone else, right? It just makes it a little bit different.
Yeah.
You're not alone. So the moment you tell me you were not
exactly.
exposed, usually that means you were one monitor gamer. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm just saying, like,
Yeah.
you need it to
No, well that was
not
it.
watch Twitch, like.
I didn't have space. This was the thing. I just
Okay.
physically never had the space, and with moving around during university times, when my PC died at one point when I was at university, my dad just got me a laptop instead. So then I was just a laptop gamer.
Okay.
Do not like I'll put this into context for you, Cheg. Esutick might not get this, but I'll put it into context for Cheg. I played the first boss of Ulduar on a trackpad.
No.
Yeah.
I'd kick you out of my guild.
I know, right? That would kick me out of the guild too. No, but I had no desk. Like the apartment I was living in, it was a furnished apartment and it was the tiniest room and they literally just whacked a double bed in the room because that's what you do. Right? I had
So
no
it-
choice. Like I
to-
physically had no space for a desk anywhere to put a mouse. So like that was it.
To this day, yes. So when people look back, Ulduar at its time was the most complex mechanics in a raid that you could imagine. It was actually breaking guilds apart and everything because it was just very, very difficult to complete. Nowadays, raids in World of Warcraft are much more complex, but we are at another level. Is like, with research and just mechanical skill and also tech. Like you have a mouse with 15 keys on it or whatever. Back then you had freaking you know, if you had ADSL, you were lucky, you know, to have internet. It will not
Yeah.
screw you on the mechanic and wipe the entire raid. And this was the first raid where one person could wipe the entire, you know, encounter, everyone. And encounters like 15-20 minutes long. So so
Yeah.
you and there's like what, like 15 bosses or something, I don't know. So you
Yeah.
would have progression throughout the week. You could not just like, you know, go in and clear the raid or whatever. So if someone starts wiping you, like, you're wasting everyone's time. There's 25 people, if I remember correctly, originally in Uldor.
Yeah, I mean, they did have a 10-man, but yeah, like back in those days, like the standard raid size
Yeah.
during Wrath of the Lich King was like 25.
Well, yeah, I'm playing Classic Red now, and it's 25, right? It's not 20 yet. It's 25, right? Now I'm
20 was vanilla. 20 was vanilla and TBC.
40 and 20, right?
You used to have, yeah, you had 40, 20, and then you had the occasional 10-man raid,
The mini
which was like,
raids,
you know,
yeah.
like UBRS or something like
Yes,
that,
yes,
you know?
yes.
But like in Wrath of the Lich King, they moved to this 10-25
10-25
model.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So like actually, and even to this day, we have like, I don't know how much you follow Isu, but like there's a rollback on World of Warcraft, kind of where it's classic, right? And so we are currently in the era of this time of Wrath of the Lich King, and some of the bosses in this raid now, today, with everything that we have and knowledge that we have and everything, to this day, like these are some of the bosses in this raid were the least defeated bosses, like in single, you know, digits or whatever, compared to others that are like thousands, you know, and whatnot. Like people just clear it super easy and whatnot. So playing that without a mouse, I don't know. No,
I didn't do it very often. Like there was a certain way I could set up, but every single time I played at that point in time, I was like sitting like propped against my headboard, like sitting flat out on my bed with my laptop like on my knees, stack of books next to me with a mouse mat on top, and that was how I played when I played like during Nax and during Old War. Because I had no desk, like the only desk space was in the public area of the apartment, and I lived with the most horrendous person at that time, not gonna lie. So I didn't want to be in I didn't want to be in the shared space.
You gotta do what you gotta do, right? Like you play the way you can.
So
that's fair.
Exactly. So but yeah, so I started playing just before Wrath of the Lich King released. My first character was a troll rogue. I had no idea how to play a rogue at all. The person that got me into the game was I got no help from that person whatsoever. They were the type of person at the time that played an MMO solo. They didn't do group content. They didn't do raids.
Yeah, I was supposed to say, who doesn't these days?
But everything, like the only guild they were in was like a completely dead guild. That just had like a few alts in it. Like they did no group content whatsoever. They had no interest in raiding, but they were like, "Hey, you should play this game. It's really good fun." And very quickly, I ended up getting into a guild when I got max level, etc. They were like, "Oh yeah, this could be interesting," because it was someone that I was dating at the time, and I think they lasted 2 raids, and they just couldn't. They couldn't keep up. Basically,
it's a completely different experience. I'm not gonna lie.
It is. Like... It's entirely different, and they didn't like this whole idea of having to play a certain way and do this and do that, which is totally understandable. But they also didn't like the fact that I did like doing that, and was, at the time anyway, I was good at it. Wouldn't say that now. But yeah, I've played a lot of MMOs. The latest has been Final Fantasy XIV, which is how I met the lovely Esutick.
So you're new to Final Fantasy, relatively, or what?
Well, okay, so new, I've got probably about 800 hours over the past 2 years, but I still haven't finished patch 6.5. I've been like, I played my way slowly through like the story, and I streamed most of that. That was most of how my streaming started, or that was how my streaming progressed after a certain point, was I was streaming Final Fantasy XIV.
I
like
paid to skip
the story.
that. I couldn't. I couldn't. I'm sorry, but I'm a proactive player. I need to play the game. I had so much trouble with Final Fantasy. I had such split
That's
feelings
fair.
about it. Like it has some of the best things in the MMO space, and for me, some of the worst ones. Like even the raids
I
where you
think
have
you
to
could.
sit and do nothing
He's
for
the
an hour.
cutest Lalafell in the game, though.
Yeah, I played Lala, and when I figured out you can raid fishing, that was it. That was my content. I was actually streaming fishing.
Yeah, he was
Okay.
ocean fishing a lot.
I was like, okay, time to get on the ship. Let's go. And I had my little papers and everything, like which fish you can catch where with what bait and everything. And I loved it. I loved it. It was a lot of fun. But I unfortunately I do not enjoy anime for some reason, and it's not like anti-anime or anything like that. I actually feel like I'm losing quite a lot for not being able to enjoy it, because I know that there's some of the best writing comes from it, but it just doesn't. I just fail to immerse myself into it. I
Yeah.
just don't know why, but in the end, that and a lot of handheld story-driven content in Final Fantasy kind of pushed me away from it in a way.
So
But I have massive respect for it. I'm so happy that I played for long enough to like understand, the game, the raids, the dungeons, communities, and then the awkward, crazy things like, fishing raids, or what's the name of where you go and do silly things in that island or whatever.
Gold saucer?
Like there's all the mini games. They're like
Yeah,
either
gold
jumping.
saucer.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
gold
Yeah,
sauce.
yeah,
Oh, Gold Social, yeah, exactly. And I have such a respect for this game nowadays. While before I was just like, nah, deep game, I don't care. So completely different feelings about it. Actually, to a point where I would end up in Esu stream and like watch for like 40 minutes, like actually doing nothing, just watching what they're doing when you were like clearing these like endless levels or whatever. Like I don't really know names anymore of anything, but
Oh, the
with
deep
you and
dungeons we
Rev,
were
yeah.
doing. Yeah.
Because now I understand what's going on. I can understand classes. I can understand, like it's more fun for me to watch. So what is it? Obvious question now here. Is it better or worse than World of Warcraft?
Oh, this is something that plagues me because I've streamed both games and the community that I have is kind of like split pretty much down the middle,
Of course.
which is quite entertaining. So definitely if you'd asked me this question like a while ago, like say like definitely before Dragonflight came out, if you'd asked me quite a while ago which game is better, I probably still would have said World of Warcraft. Right now, because of how things have gone with Blizzard Activision over the past sort of 7 years, let's say,
Yeah.
I really do feel like I am a lore lover, right? I am a lore lover. I have about 10 to 12, which is only a fraction of the World of Warcraft like universe books, right?
Yep.
And I love reading about the lore.
And their books are, I mean, not
the books are amazing.
Because those who don't know, like World of Warcraft has like a plethora of writers. So it's not like one person writing a lore, which ends up having some issues and holes in the lore itself. I mean, it is what it is. I don't think there's any bad intention. Some people are very picky about this. But there are certain writers in World of Warcraft lore that are... So, like, I read... I like reading fantasy. It's just fun. And, like, some of my favorite ones would be... For example, I read The Expanse before it was... Because I'm a space nerd as well, or Witcher. Like I know I've read Witcher twice, all the books, and then I've listened to all of them because there's a great like audiobook as well. So while I'm like jogging or whatever, and I would say some of the World of Warcraft writing is better than Witcher, for example, which is so funny because this is lore inspired by the game. While Witcher is the other way around, right? Like you had it written, so usually this you would expect, and they're great. Don't get me wrong, like I love them. They're still one of my favorite like sets of books and everything. But man, some books from World of Warcraft are they just take you, just can't stop, and then and you don't get it until the end. and then it unfolds in a perfect pace. They're really good. I really love World of Warcraft books. They're amazing. Not all of them, most of them.
But back to your original question, I think I definitely play World of Warcraft for one reason and one reason only for the past like 4 or 5 years. There is nothing about the story of the game that grabs me in any way, shape, or form. Through Shadowlands, even Dragonflight, the story to me is very disjointed. It's very difficult to follow. It's very fragmented. There's no linearity, and I really feel for new players and for old players coming into the game because coming back to the game. The
connection is lost. It's over.
Because they get nothing. They're going to get nothing about the amazing lore and history of the game that has been written over the past like 20 odd years, nearly 20 years, 19 years. But so I play for endgame in World of Warcraft. I'm not very good at it, but I play for endgame.
You say you're not good, but like you're probably in top 10% or something, because there's so many people who don't even touch it, and I've seen you raid. So I'm the same. I stopped playing World of Warcraft. I like last 3 expansions. I have all 3. I would play for 2 weeks and I would just stop. And even something that people loved is like dragon riding. That was just not my thing, because I play a lot of sim games and flying, like in MSF, Microsoft Flight Simulator or Star Citizen, or stuff like that. And that flying just does not do it for me, and it just killed me that I can't just chill on my mount, and do nothing. And I missed that, and that completely killed the game for me.
It's a shame they brought it in so late. They brought it in far too late. There's so many people that have missed out in the game because they could not do the dragon riding. They were like, no, that's not it. That's not it for me. Especially druids as well, right?
Yeah.
So many druids.
So yeah.
So many druids. But I played Final Fantasy XIV for the story. That was why I got into playing it. Because I had there was a dear friend that I'd actually met through the World of Warcraft community. She's a variety streamer. She Nvidia. She actually she was streaming. She was playing through Final Fantasy XIV. She was playing through Stormblood at the time, I believe. And
I know that
name. Nvidia.
Yep. I know.
Yeah.
Maybe when
she
I
does
was
a lot of
streaming.
variety streaming, which is really, really nice.
I don't
she
remember
plays a
where
lot
from,
of different
but
games.
it rings the bell.
But so I saw her playing Final Fantasy XIV, and I was like, oh, this is really interesting. I'm going to play this. So I started playing it, and I'd actually started streaming not long before that. I'd started streaming during Shadowlands. I'd only been on Twitch for about 1.5 years, maybe like 2 years tops. And the reason I actually started streaming is because some of my friends were like, oh shit, you're raiding Mythic, can we watch? That is it.
This is very
like
common.
I did not go into streaming with like a grand plan or like anything like this. I was just like, oh shit, yeah, okay. I like used like the super basic like Twitch like beta like platform that they had, downloaded it, turned it on, and that was it. And because I've been in a few different streamer communities for quite a while, when they discovered I started streaming, they were really, really kind, and like they raided over to me and stuff. So I had like a pool of people that were already there, like, and being like wonderful support and everything, watching me like cheat torpedo myself off of platforms and Sanctum of Domination, like the classic disengage off a platform, which there's actually clips of me in about 3 different games doing the same thing. So
sounds on brand.
Yeah, that's on brand. Like that is a key moment of my gaming, But yeah, so I started playing Final Fantasy XIV on stream, and I cannot tell you the most amazing people that I have met.
Oh, they're so welcoming.
Journey.
Oh my god.
In my journey, like the number of people that like just dropped in, and it was actually so. One of Niviria's I think, is she a mod? But anyway, Kadomi, I met in Niviria's stream. And when I started playing Final Fantasy XIV, she had just created a character on Chaos, because this was before data center travel. And she just started on Chaos, and she was like in and out of stream and stuff, and she was being super lovely, super helpful. And yeah, when I was finishing a stream one day, she was like, hey, I always ask for recommendations for people to rate, and she was like, oh hey, you should rate this person, she's really cool, she also plays Final Fantasy XIV, and I think you'd really like her. and it was Esutick. So that was how I got to know Esutick. And
That's so awesome.
well, as they say, the rest is history.
Nah,
Yes.
that's
So
awesome.
the only thing is I couldn't play with her for a very long time. Like I couldn't play in game with her for such a long time because I was so far behind the story, and due to a variety of different reasons, like I could not. I managed for quite a while to get myself to like stick to like a plan of like 2 days a week of streaming. Maybe like 3. I think I did 3 because I was on sick leave from work at the time. So it was 3 days a week of streaming, and it was all Final Fantasy 14 at that point.
And you only played when you were streaming, right?
Yeah. And I played World of Warcraft, but when I play World of Warcraft, I actually enjoy that more when I'm in other streamers' communities.
Okay.
So I will help out with doing like dungeons, with doing community raids, etc. But I definitely am much better off when I'm playing World of Warcraft helping other people, not being the person that's coordinating and doing all that thing. I don't have the brain power for all of that. I really don't. But I am more than happy to jump in and help out with like anyone else if they need it. So I was streaming Final Fantasy 14 almost exclusively at this point, and when I would get further through the story, and then we would get to like really like key points in WoW like release cycle. So we would get to like a new tier coming out, etc. And I was starting to raid in Mythic raiding during Sanctum of Domination.
Not that good, by
and
the
I'd
way.
landed.
There's
Pardon?
nothing above that, Isu. Like you can't do anything above Mythic raiding in World of Warcraft.
Yeah, I know it's the highest tier.
She's not that
pretty.
good.
She's freaking pro.
No, I'm a one-trick pony. That's my tagline. I'm a one-trick pony.
I heard
You
she's
play
doing
Paladin.
really
I know
well
you
in
play
Classic
Paladin. I
too.
saw
So
That was a new adventure. But when I've trialed with a couple of different guilds. I have raided Mythic. I cleared Sepulchre. I got Cutting Edge. That was my first Cutting Edge, which was an amazing feeling. And that guild is an absolutely amazing group of people. Like I'm still in that Discord. I still have characters in that guild. I still chat to those guys like every week. I will jump in Discord and we will just talk shit. We'll talk about the latest changes. We'll do it. They're just such an amazing group of people, and every single one of them are absolutely insane gamers. I honestly would not have met these people. I would not have met these people if I hadn't started streaming. The way you make the connections, I've been friends with someone who is one of the mods for the Resto Shaman Discord. I met them back in Warlords of Draenor. They were healing me when I was a Death Knight tank, and I landed in their guild randomly when we were doing, was it Heroic Blackhand or something?
That was way long ago.
So yeah,
oh my God.
It's like there's like the connections that you make, and I still chat to so many of these people. But it's balancing both games is very difficult, and I think that's how I ended up with playing World of Warcraft off stream, and that was how I enjoyed it. And then playing Final Fantasy 14 on stream, I find is far more enjoyable for me.
So first of all, no other MMO gives this feeling of accomplishment as World of Warcraft does. If you play on the end level, I would say.
So I played Rift, and I loved playing Rift, but people just stopped playing it. So the people I was playing with, like the guilds I was in, just slowly died out.
I know, but like the MMOs will create communities and all, but if you beat current World of Warcraft content at the highest level with a group of people, it just feels very special. And I don't think any other MMO on purpose challenges their players that far. Well, World of Warcraft has this, you have like 4 difficulties of raiding. You can do whatever you want. You don't have to like push that hard. Yeah. But then if you want to be challenged, holy crap, you can be.
Yeah.
And I think after you accomplish something this difficult, the bond that you create with people who did it with you, because it's an absolute group effort. You can't just do it. You can't really be carried anymore through these things. I mean, you can, but like especially not ahead of the curve and whatnot. I think it's par none to other MMOs.
Yeah,
I kind of miss that, not gonna lie, because I don't play World of Warcraft. I play Classic, that's it. But I play Classic, I play Hardcore and all that. But we don't really. There, we've seen it all already. You know all the things already. Like beating the content is like day one thing nowadays there, and it's not like there's no rate progression or whatever. Okay, I stole this completely from Esutick. I'll ask you.
I am enjoying it and listening to it and occasionally recognizing some things. I knew I brought in a very, very lovely guest
Oh,
that you'd
absolutely.
love to talk to about
100%,
World
of
of
course.
Warcraft with, so it's completely fine.
There are two things that I want to bring up. I'll just give you like quick questions, and then I'll give you back to Esutick. She can continue with, you know. But so here's the thing. So I tried streaming World of Warcraft. It was horrible. So I went from streaming Elder Scrolls Online on a pretty high level for that category, and you know I didn't want to do it anymore. And I went to World of Warcraft, which I wish I could. Just like it's one of the, like all of us, you know, who played for almost 20 years, as you say. Of course you want to stream. This is your home game. Of course I will feel the most at home.
Yeah.
But whenever I try streaming it, there were two things that deter me. One, I feel overwhelmed by the game and the stream at the same time. And two, the viewer numbers just drop down the sink. Like from whatever other game you come to World of Warcraft, you have to understand you're going to be at the bottom, and the bottom in World of Warcraft will always be on Twitch. 7th page, you know, of scrolling or whatever. Unlike Final Fantasy or Elder Scrolls Online or Guild Wars 2 or whatever. So do you feel the difference? So that's one question is, do you feel the difference between streaming World of Warcraft and Final Fantasy? I kind of feel like growing in if you even care about growth, but like growing in Final Fantasy compared to World of Warcraft, I feel like Final Fantasy is much easier to grow in, especially because networking is so much easier, and like other streamers are easier to get to, where they, let's say, like you can get to top 10 streamer in Final Fantasy and connect with them on friendly basis and playing together easier than connecting to Soda Poppin or, you know, Asmongold or whatever. Like these guys way out of reach completely. They're on another level of streaming, and these are the people you have to like compete with to get somewhere. And the other thing you can edit together is their World of Warcraft drops now, and they're very good compared to a lot of games. And being streaming for your own community, right, where you're not like fighting these titans of, you know, streaming industry, do you feel the drops affect your streams in any way, apart from making people who usually watch you happy because they got the camel or whatever, you know, the current drop is? The mic is yours.
So I would say that there is a massive difference in the types of communities that you get in World of Warcraft streaming versus what you get in Final Fantasy XIV streaming. So I would say there's maybe 3 main categories of World of Warcraft. You've got collectors. So you've got the streamers that are like massive collectors, whether that's all the things collectors, you know, like collecting absolutely every dungeon drop that they possibly can. These are the people that have like 50 level
end game characters,
70s.
Whatever. Yeah.
They've got 50 end game characters. They've got every single class covered. You know, they've got so many on Horde and Alliance. They are like gold making machines. You know, that is what they do. And
repeat
a lot of people
content
like watching
and just
these.
Wait for this dopamine hit.
And those streams are very interactive.
Yeah.
Like those streamers can be very interactive because the content they're doing is quite straightforward. They're doing old content. They're doing repetitive content. It's content that they know inside out. So they can disconnect from the content and they can focus on the chat and the community and the interaction. Then you have like the gaming communities. So then you have the streamers that run their own Mythic Plus and Raid communities. So prime examples of this are people like I guess like Killer Chris, you've got Chevelle, one of my dear friends, Metal Benji as well. And these are not necessarily, that's a range of people from being like super big streamers to like slightly smaller streamers, but these are people that
enable
they
content
dedicate
to
their
other
streams.
people, right?
Yes, they enable their viewers, and they create groups. They get their viewers in and they play with their viewers. They cycle the group content. So like Chevelle and Killer Chris both run normal and heroic raids every single lockout. Where they also do education. So those guys have already pre-read all the tactics. So they help with like educating people on like how you do the tactics for these bosses.
Incredible mental
absolutely
work.
These guys are insane when it comes to balancing. Yeah,
No.
they can balance this, and this is what I said. It's like, I know myself, I cannot do that.
No,
I
did it
tried
in
it
Elder Scrolls
briefly when I
Online.
started streaming.
Too
I
much.
started it briefly when I started. I did it briefly when I started streaming, and that was because I was really pushed into it. This is the other thing. If you meet people through those communities, love them. Like, so many lovely people, but when they see you streaming, so like when people I've met in other like these gaming communities, these kind of like key and like raid communities, when they come to my stream, they're like, "Oh, I want to do this key. Can we do this key?" I'm like, "No, that's not what I want to do. I don't want to do that." And I felt a little bit strong-armed into it when I first started streaming because so many people wanted to do that content with me, but I really struggled with it hugely. So I have just categorically, I don't do it. I absolutely do not do it. Like, if I'm doing keys with my guild and I'm streaming that, I'm okay with that because I just like have a note up and I'm like, look, I'm just focused on the keys, jump in, I will chat to you in between, but I'm just going to be doing key content and things like that.
You do key dungeons and raids with your Discord on, where everyone can hear the conversation. From my experience of almost 7 years of streaming, I decided I don't ever have anyone else on Discord because I feel like the moment there's communication on Discord, my chat dies, and I have extremely active chat. But it's almost like they don't wanna interrupt our communication or whatever, and it dies down. And I stopped doing this completely. I don't raid like you, but I do play in World of Warships. There are like clan battles where it's like 7 versus 7, 8 versus 8, same thing, like group of people against group of people, and you have to be on comms or it doesn't work. And I did it again couple of months ago. I did it twice, and I was like, no, I can't focus fully on what I'm doing in game and comms, and then at the same time I can't give my full attention to the chat either.
Yeah.
And I feel like I'm in a lose-lose situation. You juggle this very well. I'm like super impressed. Well, you might not think like that, but I've watched your stream and I was like, man, she can do it. Like, some people can pull this off because, you're pushed to talk with your on your Discord while you talk to your chat. The Discord cannot hear you, that's fine. But somehow the community stays engaged, like you're doing your thing. You're not failing at mechanics. You're talking to your clan at the same time. How the crap do you do it? And don't feel like pressured by it? Or maybe you do.
I do, like,
Okay.
definitely. I think if I was running the groups, that would be a whole other thing. That would be like massively problematic.
Okay.
Even if we weren't on Discord, like putting a group together would be so problematic because then I feel like I'm
responsible,
the make or break of whether
yeah.
that group content succeeds or not. And I'm like, no, I can't deal with that. I put enough pressure on myself without like willingly adding more. I don't need any help with that. But I feel like it's taken a lot of practice. I'm not fluent at it yet. Sometimes I forget to put push to talk on, and my guild like drag me into another channel, and they're like, stop digging for subs and stuff, and like sort your shit out. I'm like, yeah, okay, I got it.
Thank you for the follow.
Yeah, but yeah, I do understand. I've been in situations where if I'm solo gaming, here's the thing. If I'm solo gaming and I'm questing, I will not sit on Discord because I do not want to stream random conversation with people. The only reason that I ever have Discord on when I'm streaming is if it's actually beneficial to what's happening in the content I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
So like some
people
keys,
get the context,
you don't need it.
kind of.
But the new keys, like for example, what we've been doing the last week or so, because it's brand new release, I have to be in Discord. I will not learn if I'm not in Discord, because when I'm in Discord, I can then ask that question. Okay, I just feel like I got one shot. Did we miss an interrupt? Should I have been like? Did I miss something there?
And then stream also learns from your mistakes as well, which is really good, of course.
Yeah, they get the benefit. They can laugh, but then they also get the insight as well. And by having that other line of information on Discord, then it means that I'm not having to like go and figure that out, and that it actually takes a little bit of pressure off. In that sense, I can have someone else explain it, but I don't always leave Discord on. I've only put it on recently because some people specifically asked, but then again, those people know some of the people in my guild, so it's a little bit swings and roundabouts, I would say. Even when I was streaming Final Fantasy 14, like, if I was doing group content and I wanted to be on Discord with like people that were in the group at the time, like when I was unlocking Pandemonium, which is like the current like tier, even just doing it on normal, people that were helping me like queue up and like do the content, they were on Discord, but they were so lovely. We would be on Discord together, we would do the fight, and then I would just deafen Discord so that I could watch the cutscenes completely uninterrupted. They weren't heard on stream. They could talk as much shit as they wanted in between boss fights.
Yeah.
I wasn't interrupted. I was focusing on the cutscene. So it's about finding those like utilities to help you balance that. But definitely, I would agree. There's some people that I've seen where Discord, they are just sat on Discord and they're just chatting to other people. They're, you know, like, to me, that's not content, and I really struggle with that. It's like, if you're like doing solo content, I feel like that's a wonderful opportunity for you to be engaging with your community.
I agree. Yeah.
And that for me is like, that's what Final Fantasy is. That's how I play Final Fantasy. When Dragonflight released, I'm leading into drops now. When Dragonflight released, they did this was the first drops that they'd ever done, I think.
Yes.
With Twitch. I think it was the first drops he'd ever done. And I was
there
like,
was something
this is going
about
to be
classic
amazing.
as well. Like briefly, I think.
It might have been around the same time though.
Maybe, yeah.
I think it was around the same time, because at that point when they did those drops, that was revolutionary for WoW streamers, because they'd never done this, I think.
Yeah. No, they didn't do it before.
I think they did some classic drops, but only at that time too, or within that period. So when they brought out the drops for Dragonflight release, I was like, oh, this is actually really cool. And I was looking forward to the Dragonfly experience, because the key thing with World of Warcraft is like, when you get a new expansion and you're playing through on the first character, you have to complete the whole campaign.
Yep.
So it was a prime way for me to carry over what I'd done in Final Fantasy XIV and try it out in World of Warcraft.
Does Final Fantasy have drops? No. Right?
No.
Not the drops, but I mean like that method of like reading the quest text and going through the lore in depth and like exploring that on stream. And I thought, this is a great time to do this. So I did that, and the engagement I got during that time was incredible. The engagement I got was completely insane. And the engagement I got as well, I discovered there's people that I've known from gaming for like the past like 7-10 years. And they aren't really big on Twitch. Like they don't watch it very much. They don't have favorite streamers, whatever. But it meant that when I was streaming, they would come to me to get their drops.
Yeah.
And they were like, and so now whenever there's drops come up, I actually get messages from some of those people, are you going to be streaming? Because they would rather watch me and support someone that they know during the drops campaign than just any random massive streamer that
this is crazy,
they don't feel any connection with, which is super lovely. I felt so loved, like, and
no, that's
like,
great.
when I would get these messages
great.
from people.
I've been streaming games with drops forever. So we had Elder Scrolls Online drops, and I was in part of the street team, so we even had like better drops or whatever, which I was always against. And now I stream in World of Warships, where I even worked for the company, and I used to set up drops with Twitch. So you don't even want to know how complicated this is. It's like one of the worst things in the world. But we have drops all the time. So your community, World of Warcraft, is completely uneducated when it comes to drops. So they don't understand how it works completely. So they will sit there.
Everyone had commands, like everyone had like little on-screen.
Wait, that's one thing, like how to set up for drops to work. But what they don't understand is that they can just mute your window. There's this myth of if you mute it, you're not getting progression.
This is what I'm saying. This is what I'm saying. What they did, because it was so new, and like we knew that nobody in the WoW community knew what they were doing. Everyone had like little commands.
Yeah.
So they would just have it in their stream title. It would just be like exclamation mark drops.
Yeah.
And it would just put the message in chat, and it would say to people, do this, do this, do this, don't do this. And so like they would just have that like going, because they knew that nobody understood how this works and how the interaction with Twitch works.
ESO
you remember?
I remember. This brings me back.
Oh my god, do you remember? So ESO
or they had the little embeds. They had little browser embeds like just on top of their webcam that said, watch for 4 hours, don't mute stream, mute your tab.
But this is not true, by the way. You can mute the stream. This is a myth.
You can mute the stream, yeah.
You can mute whatever you want.
Well,
it's a complete myth. I know it's been around Twitch forever.
For viewership, if you
Aha,
mute the
okay.
stream, then it's a problem. So a
I
lot of
don't
people
think
went
it
down
is,
that
though.
route so they would get the viewership.
I'll tell you right now, this is a myth also. I
Sure.
worked
Well,
on the
it's
other
a myth
side.
that's propagated everywhere.
But
and
it is.
so...
It's been propagated for like 7 years now. But it's a myth. Because we in World of Warships, because people get drops 24/7, 365. Man, we have so many lurkers. People think people are botting, but no, they just leave their rig with an account, with 3 accounts on, their favorite streamer, and then there's these like there's this dumb like raid trains kind of, and this big group of people carries over, and they just stay in the raids because the new drop cycle starts. They just keep, and then once a day they go and collect their drops, and that's it. So you can definitely mute and all that stuff. It works. It doesn't matter. Like it even just talking about it is great engagement. I don't know if you remember, because Elder Scrolls Online was one of the first companies to introduce Twitch drops plus Twitch revenue share. So you could actually buy, if you buy things. Let's say you buy subscription for World of Warcraft. I buy subscription from your channel. You get like 5%
this
or
feature
10%.
of
Oh my god,
Twitch
it was so good. I was
fucking much.
making so
There's
much
still
money.
people that want the freaking Uroboros badge, me included. So
have
Twitch
it.
had like a gaming shop, and it had what a couple of games. If you bought like in-game currency or subscriptions or expansions or anything literally from the game through that Twitch page from the streamers, because underneath you would get like get the game here or get crowns here. If you click that, you'd have a reference to the streamer, and if they bought anything
For the same
they
price,
would
by the
get
way.
a special badge for like their chat badge from that game, and the revenue would go for a percentage to the streamer. So there was like an extra way for gamers to support their favorite Twitch streamers, because they could just buy the same thing they could buy in game for the same price, except they got like these extra benefits.
And the emotes, so you get emotes and badge and
people
whatnot.
have like the Eltmarie Dominion, the hand of the Brotherhood, the Assassins, mostly the Ouroboros badge from Elder Scrolls Online as their chat badge, because
which was
they
super
bought
rare back
stuff
then.
from
Like,
that game.
chat badge was partners. TwitchCon still did not have badges or whatever. And
Imagine
whatnot.
if Twitch still did this, but
do you know they came back
like...
to us and they were like, we got this mail from like Together Bethesda and Twitch, and they were like, well, after running this for like 6 months, by the way, I made so much money on that, it was insane. They were like, we figured out you're not making enough money for it to make any difference, so we're going to stop doing it. And we were like, don't lie to us, like just say this is not good for you or whatever, that's fine, but don't tell me I'm not making money when you just took half of my earnings by disabling this option. Like, get out with that. It's ridiculous. But I had a comment, because this was, then you had people who would only come for drops, and if you're in one of the top spots, man, you would only answer drop questions. So, and then you would have people coming in exclamation drops, because that was the thing. My phone is ringing. Interesting. And I had a command where if you use exclamation drop, you get like timed out or something for the lols. I don't remember now, but there was like a whole.
I mean, I can imagine the need for doing that. I can imagine the need to do that.
It was so long.
If you're in a
new,
community,
it's so exciting. Oh my god, it was crazy times. It was.
They also did the if you they did a sub based drop as well during the release of Dragonflight.
I remember
and
that.
you had to sign up. You had to remember to sign up. So they gave you like a push like in Twitch, and you had to sign a form like through there to be eligible. And I don't know what the minimum requirements were. I met them, so it can't have been very high at all. But it was more just to make sure that like people were actually actively engaging with their Twitch channel and like actually doing something with it, and not just like blindly turning it on only when there's drops kind of thing.
I think because you could, like, for the same price, you could just sub to your own channel with an alt account and just get whatever for, or maybe there were some like silly things that we never think about that Twitch is like trying to prevent. Diablo had this for a while as well, by the way. So Blizzard was testing this in other games where you pay.
Yeah,
and
no,
you get
I know they had it in
right?
Diablo. Yeah, I never I didn't do it for, I didn't do the creator thing for Diablo. I just streamed during the drops period. And I did the same thing with Diablo as I played through, and I did the story playthrough. And I actually got feedback from a lot of people that rushed through the game, and they were like, "This was actually really nice. I actually got to find out what the story was in D4
exactly.
because they just clicked through everything. They just
Yeah.
skipped everything because they wanted
wanna
to
play
blast through
in-game.
to 100 and start farming.
Yeah.
Like World Tier 4. So
Yeah.
but I feel like the drops thing, I think, is really good. I'm a bit of a controversial take. I'm not a massive fan of them bringing back these ancient items that were meant to be one-offs at the time. I'm
Yep.
not a fan of this at all.
Or $1,000 dragon and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a massive fan of it. I'm not a massive fan of the fact that they're bringing that stuff back in through the trading post either. But when it comes to drops, I think it's a great engagement model. I think it's really good that they built that. They've made that connection with Twitch, and that they're giving their streamers, because there's a lot of WoW partners that I know on Twitch, and it's giving their streamers like another engagement model with
So is this
their
a
viewership,
general
which I think is
feel
great.
in the category? Like people just like it. The drops in general in World of Warcraft. Oh my God, World of
I
Warcraft.
think there's a division. I think in general, like the drops are fine. Like I don't know of any streamer that doesn't like the idea of the drop system being there. What drops are available, that's a whole other story.
Yeah, no, I get you. Like
But
just drops in general. Yeah.
But yeah,
As an
no, I
engine.
don't think it's nobody sees it as a negative because of how they do it. They do it at little anniversaries. They do it at special events, right?
Yeah, there's a reason for it, kind of.
There's a reason they're doing it. They're not just like bang, bang, bang. They're not doing like 4 drops like every single week. They're doing 2 drops at a patch release, or they're doing 2 drops at a very significant like anniversary. Like I can guarantee you, there's going to be drops for the 20th anniversary next year.
100%. Yeah. No. I
but
see
it's
what you're
going
doing.
to be
I
the
like that
anniversary.
more.
It's going to be a significant event, and that's what makes it more enjoyable because people can then plan. You know, like streamers can then plan around those events if they wish to.
100% true. I like it more than what we have in World of Warcraft, because there is just whatever. It's a drop. You know, you get some missions in game, whatever, nothing major, and people do it because if you don't do it, you waste it, and that's it. There's no excitement around it.
Final Fantasy XIV only had one campaign, and I'm not sure it's ever going to return because it was a black fat chocobo campaign where
you had to sub people.
A select amount of content creators were picked, and if you subbed, gifted 20 subs or 5 subs, it was a pretty beefy account. Pretty beefy amount, not just 1 or 2. No, it was a pretty beefy amount that you had to sub to the channel to get a code for the black fat chocobo mount.
And then it didn't work in some countries.
There was a lot of backlash because it was giving circle jerk energy. People weren't too happy about the content creators that were being picked because they didn't feel like any there wasn't a lot of inclusion going on. I at the time didn't think much of it, but that's what I've been seeing going on around.
I was not happy about it. This was while I was streaming, by the way. I remember this. Oh my God, I was furious about it.
That makes me value the fact that I won the Fat Black Chocobo in a Twitter competition, recent Twitter giveaway. I won it, and I was like, now I understand how valuable it is.
Oh,
now I'm going to treasure that.
Yeah, it was, and that's the only campaign they ever did, and I'm not really sure they're going to do it again because obviously that was not received well.
No.
Because people were just like fighting over how some streamers weren't selected and how others were selected. And,
it's really bad because you can't pay to like, let's say I watch you, and you're the only streamer that I watch, but then in order
to get it, you have to financially support
someone, but
a streamer that you might never even have watched or seen,
it's
just
like
to get them out, which is
Like, why would I? So
it's not even like they did like what World of Warcraft did, where you can sign up for it and then they pick a selection of which I felt was very, very a big variety, because I know you got picked, I know Geeky Cauldron got picked, like big streamers, small streamers. It was all fine, but the Final Fantasy XIV campaign was definitely missing a little bit
Yeah.
of that diversity, and just the fact that it wasn't available to everyone to even apply for being picked.
Yeah.
So yeah, not
Drops.
We
sure
were
if they're
like
ever going to
in the
do that again. But if you are going to do it with Square Enix, make sure that you do it in a way where everyone can apply, and then you can pick.
yeah, exactly. At least put the air and the air of
The
opportunity
idea,
out
instead of
there.
that, we're just being picked out of like a list of
Exclusive drops.
favorites.
Exclusive drops boost the chosen streamers to an insane level
Yeah.
as it is. This
Yeah.
campaign that Square Enix did took money away from small stream. Like this is another level of bad. Like this literally took money away from small streamers and transferred it to big streamers and only select few. This is so unethical. It
why
was
you
so bad.
can see why there was a lot of backlash at the
Yeah,
time. Yes.
Oh my god! Now I see like there's so much more that we did not talk about, and but I mean we can maybe take a little bit longer. Ask if you have any more questions that you don't want to leave on this list, because
I mean, there's so much that we can talk about. I feel like, is there anything, Sarcissa, that you'd really love to have talked about on this podcast? Is it your first podcast?
Oh yeah, like I've never done anything like this
nice.
before.
Oh, that's super exciting. How does it feel?
It's very strange. It's not how I was. I don't know what I expected. Let's just put that there first. I don't know what I expected. It's quite different. I think it's kind of interesting that you've kind of sometime like when you asked me to do this Esutick, and you were saying, oh, like we'll talk about your content creation, and I'm like, I don't see myself as a content creator. I don't.
Okay.
I see you as I definitely would say that Esutick is a content creator. I don't see myself as that because I am.
You create content.
You're streaming.
I turn my stream on Twitch. That's
yes,
it.
but there are
like
people
that
who
is
tune
that is the
in.
extent of what I do.
They wait for you to get on.
Yeah.
Because you are a content
I
creator.
have no schedule anymore. So this is the difference. This is one thing that I will say is that working and streaming is a bizarre thing.
I cannot.
And
do that.
also, so I was on sick leave when I started streaming. So I had to slowly peter out my hours as I started going back to work. And that was then really difficult because you're working during the day, then you finish in the evening and you're like, right, I have to get dinner, I have to sort my shit out, and then I want to do a bit of gaming, and do I want to turn the stream on? And then, of course, if you're working during the week, like I work an office job, so I have like white collar hours, it's like, like 9 to 5, or 9 to 6, whatever you want to call it. And it's like, okay, so then I only have weekends to do the things that, I need to get done outside of work, like do the adult stuff, do the chores, like get out the house and do like shopping and like see people. So then that's what I'm struggling with. Even now, I'm in between jobs right now. And that's something I'm struggling with because I'm like, I have so much stuff that I'm going through right now. It feels like I never stopped working. Like, I kid you not. It feels like I never stopped working.
I was about to say, we've passed a month since you are officially done. And I have not seen you stream as much as you said you would.
Well, it didn't help that I got so bloody sick. Like, I was so ill for
we knew that was gonna come.
Oh yeah, I fought it off for 10 days, right? So we got back from Fanfest. Everyone
and I got
was
the
sick.
con crap.
Oh yeah, you got the con crud. Everyone was sick. Ash was sick. The whole lot. Tons of people in my community. They were like COVID everywhere. Like I was like testing. Which was
me
a really
too.
unpleasant experience. And then I was like, oh my god, I made it. This is great. Went out. I didn't even go out actually. I was starting to feel rough on the Tuesday. I went out that night for 2 hours to go to like the BIM house, to like the open jazz night. I went there to go watch that. Woke up on Wednesday and I was like, I'm really fucking sick and I'm sorry. Yeah. I'm really sick and I don't like this. You can
swear. Don't worry about it.
Swear here, it's fine.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
oh, and then I was
you
ill
feel it
for like
creeping
10 days.
and then it happens and it just
And I did stream a
Crashes
little
you.
bit before then. I streamed last Wednesday. I should not have streamed. I was still really sick on Wednesday, and I should not have streamed. I should
It's
have just turned
difficult
the stream off at some
because you
point.
feel
I
like,
was like,
well, I'm gonna play the game anyway, so let's just turn it on. But it actually,
This is
streaming is
literally
so
me.
much more
Yeah.
taxing than people understand.
it really is.
It
It
is
really
literally
is.
me. This is like last time because you were asking me, girly, you sounded like you were dying. That's why we're doing the podcast. Why are you live right now? And it's like, well, because I'm gonna play the game anyway now. I am editing the footage for the YouTube video now, and I'm just like, I don't even know what footage to pick because I just sound gross, disgusting. I look exhausted. I'm totally not entertaining. Why did I even bother to do this?
Because you feel
Hindsight
pressure.
is
You
a
feel
wonderful
pressure.
thing. Hindsight is a wonderful
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah,
Dan.
exactly. That's literally hindsight. Because otherwise, you feel pressure, and if you
And-
didn't do it, you would feel bad about not doing it. So
This is one thing I will say is like streamers need to listen to their community more often. There are some streamers that I know that have gone through absolute hell and back with their real lives, and all they can think about is getting back to streaming, and like how much like, you know, they feel like they're letting your community their community down. I can categorically tell every single streamer, it does not matter. Your community will always be there for you, whether you're live or not. That's
And
why we
you
have
are
Discords,
a
we have
perfect-
Instagram,
yeah.
we have Twitter. Like, this is exactly it. So like
You are a
I have
perfect
the worst
example
schedule.
of this because you stream literally whenever the fuck you feel like. But people show up, people come and hang out with you. People have not, because this is the thing, when a streamer, myself included, start streaming and we're like, we have to miss a day, we feel bad towards our community.
Yeah.
We feel bad that we're thinking we're letting them down, but at the same time we're also like, that time gives them to branch out, find other people on Twitch, maybe never ever come back to me anymore at all. People might forget me, like, you know, my viewers will drop
Yeah.
because I'm not there anymore and they found replacement. This is such a psychological fuckery that happens to all of us.
but it's
Yeah.
But
true.
you handle it so well because you are still just, whenever you can, you stream, but you don't always have a fixed schedule. And yet I
Yeah.
always see people show up for you.
It's different kind
Yeah,
of people.
I'm really
though, guys.
grateful. They're amazing people.
They are
honestly. Like,
amazing.
they're
So
absolutely
if
amazing
they're
people.
listening, cherish this girly, the way you're doing. You're doing great.
I have
think
to
the
add
thing
2
is as
cents
well
to
is
this.
that can I just quickly say, I was going to
Yes,
say, I
yeah, of
don't
course.
always necessarily feel like I can stream. Like, I don't necessarily feel like I can sit down and turn on stream for like 2-3 hours and like,
And you
do a
shouldn't.
thing,
If you don't feel
right?
like it, you shouldn't do it.
But-
There's no doubt about it.
If I'm not streaming, you can guarantee that I'm in people's streams. I think that's part of it too. I think that's part of it is like, streaming is
Okay.
very much a hobby for me, and I do it when I have the energy to enjoy it. And that's what I should do. I didn't do that last Wednesday. That was a mistake. And I think that's something that I've like consciously learning from. And I understand that people that do rely on the income that come from streaming, they have a completely different they have a different mindset to it, and I can completely understand the
But it's
pressure
not
that
only
they
income.
feel.
But income, like in the end, income is what makes the stress and struggle real. But you understand, like,
Absolutely.
with all due respect, like to at a certain up to a certain number, you're surrounded by your community. Like these are your core, you know, people who will be there because whatever, if they're not doing, if they can and you're live, they're just gonna tune in and enjoy, right? But then
Exactly.
there are many layers to streaming when you get to higher numbers. Do you think people who have like 5,000 people watching, this is their core community? No.
No.
It's just, that's not how it works. And I can tell you from personal experience, making breaks and stuff, like when you are at, you know, a couple hundreds of viewers, you will feel the drops. It's brutal. It's very simple because people find you through the gateway that is game, right? So you share something together and then they enjoy your content enough to stay there rather than to like go somewhere else. But if you're not there, their daily dose of having the game on with someone else so they don't feel like they're playing together, they will look for another streamer, and you bet it, they're gonna find another streamer they feel like being with, like, because it's just another, because there's more than one good streamer, right, in every category. Now this means that when you come back, they have to stop going to that streamer and come back to you. And this is very real. There's no tripping about it. That's how Twitch works. That's how humans work. And absolutely, if you're full-time streaming and you don't follow the schedule, or you make holes in your schedule like I do right now, I'll tell you that 2 months ago, I had an average of like 98. And last month I had an average of 48 because I wasn't feeling too good. I was, not streaming every day. I was streaming some different games because I started feeling a little bit of burnout. These are the very, very real things that happen. And then there's another thing, like after streaming full time every day, going to other streams for networking is crucial and it helps you grow immensely. But some of us have been on Twitch for like 7 years of streaming. I've been watching Twitch since Justin TV. Way too many people. You have some friends, you have some enemies. I know when I show up in certain streams that some people will stop talking in their chat because I'm there. They don't like me or whatever. We have beef or whatever it is. So there's like a lot of stuff that comes with time because these are usually, no matter how big the numbers are, the active chatters in Twitch are small percentage of people, and it's usually tight kind of community that is there. So you will get to a point where your presence in certain Twitch channels means something. Then there's also, I'm a partner, for example. So if I show up in someone's stream, if it's a smaller stream, I get the reaction that I don't want, like I rate someone and I want to go and eat. But now they try to engage with me and whatnot. And it's beautiful, right? There's nothing wrong with it. But I'm sorry, but like, I just want to, I want to go do something else now. You know what I mean? Like, and then I feel guilt. And then there's so many layers to this. Like, streaming is the most beautiful and the craziest thing, like in both good and bad ways that you can do to yourself. And it's very mentally taxing and whatnot.
I have a really funny story about the whole raid and run
Go for it.
situation. So I was finally unlocking Pandemonium, which is the current Endwalker, like a normal raid tier, like 8-man raid tier. And I was doing it like on the evenings, like with a group of friends, and I was streaming it. And I have a very good friend that I made in the World of Warcraft community. She's a lovely person called OK Mage, Jordan. And I lurk it. I do watch a little bit when she's like playing Final Fantasy 14, and I happened to be doing Pandemonium, and she raided me, and the first thing that came out of my mouth was, "Jordan, you can't be here. Please leave." And she's like, and she raided with like over 1,000 people.
Yeah.
And the first thing I said was, "Jordan, you can't be here. I love you.
No, but this is good.
But leave." Because she was so far behind in content, and the exact boss that I was doing in Pandemonium
would spoil her.
Huge spoilers. So I was like, and I was in the middle of the fight. I couldn't even change my scene.
Yeah.
Because I was literally in the middle of combat at the time. So I was just like, "Jordan, I love you. Thank you. But you can't be here. Please leave." She's like, "You're muted. I'm going. Bye."
Yeah. And
it was like the most
a fun
wholesome
interaction
thing because like it's the Final Fantasy community. Like we look after each other in terms of like of spoilers and do our best to make sure that doesn't happen. And I was like, I was in one of those like manic situations. I was like, I can't do anything about this, but I love you, but I can't do anything.
Just leave. Yeah. But you have to give these, like, you'll see this with more experienced streamers as well. When they get raided, they will enable the streamer an escape route, if that makes sense. And you'll hear this if you watch a lot of streams. So you'll see when, like, if I get raided by someone else or whatever, I'll in first minute, I'll say, "Hey, I know you've streamed for many hours. If you need to go eat or whatever, I'll take care of your folks, like whatnot." You give this, like, open the door for them to like leave and thank them and "Oh, I'd love to have you in the stream, but go take care of yourself." You know what I mean? And it just enables what. But if you're raiding someone who is brand new to streaming and excited and whatnot, then you don't want to like steal that excitement from them either, right? Like if something happens like that and whatnot. Yeah, it's crazy. But I crave that. I always wanted to work and stream on the side as a hobby. And not worry about income. But the problem is I had an opportunity to do it recently because I was working in the game industry for almost 2 years.
Yeah.
And I streamed 3 times in 2 years. It's just, I don't know how you people do it.
The other extreme.
What do you mean?
I feel
But
like
that's what I
because
end
she's
up
got like
doing.
it's obviously she already struggled a bit with like an office job. I worked before part-time and streamed on the side like before I got unemployed, but you went to work in the gaming industry. The gaming industry doesn't you when you start working in the game industry, you start living in the game industry. You don't have time
This true.
to.
But I tried
So
this
you went from
before as well.
you went from just focusing only on streaming to having literally no time to focus on streaming. There was no in between. Do a job, do streaming on the side.
I
That's what
don't
you're
know
trying
how
to
people
figure
do
out
it.
now.
Like part-time job plus streaming would be perfect for me, but like I just don't know if I can pull it off. I just get like I wake up and I wake up late so that I'm full of energy when I start my streams. So then I don't sleep all night or whatever. And there's no way I maintain this energy if I'm working. Like I just cannot. I don't have the capacity for it. There's no way.
I think a lot of people don't necessarily understand how much goes into preparing for streaming and all the after as well, depending on then what you do with everything.
Yeah.
I don't do any of that. I am a pure hobbyist. I would like to, but on the other hand, like my brain can't, like I cannot fit all of that in my brain at the same time as doing the work and everything.
Yeah. There's one thing I really do want to ask before we can talk for hours like
We
this.
can. This is
which
the
I
last
already
thing.
I feel
knew
like we
was
should have
going
had
to-
a meeting. I feel like we should have had like an introduction session
Nah.
before
Yeah.
we did the first podcast.
But then we
because, like, I
lose
think-
that. Then we lose that. It's so cool.
It's fine.
Go for
it's
it.
fine.
Last
So-
thing. Yes. So let's go.
Yeah. Well, my biggest interest is this. So, but you were talking about the multiple categories of World of Warcraft that we got derailed, so we never really got back to that. But Final Fantasy's got two very, I would say two very heavy categories in streaming, and that's one where
Sorry, you
it's
think about
very
like streamer archetype, right? Like what's like type of a streamer content, right? Not
Sure,
like
yeah.
2 different games.
no two different like type of stream content.
Okay.
So there is like what you've been doing this entire time, going through the MSQ and playing it live on stream for everyone to see how how your brain was being picked throughout of it all, the
How many
emotional
times
damage
can I cry
and
in one
everything.
stream?
And this is because the story is very, very, very beautiful, very heavy, very intense, it puts you through a roller coaster. So there is 2 camps. There is camp rating, there's camp story. Then there is small bits of in between, but I would say that is just generally not as successful as like doing the rating and doing the story. Those are like the biggest categories in Final Fantasy XIV streaming, where people just really like watching a streamer go through their storylines and see how they have been experiencing it, see how they are getting emotionally destroyed, talk about it all. But then after they're done, some of them tend to just fuck off and never come back because they want to watch another streamer do that.
Yeah, they'll find
And
the
then
next
there
one, yeah.
is the next follow-up step. What often happens is that people start doing endgame rating. They start to progress their rating, their Savage tier, and they're going from their multiple tiers. They often start with like the extremes, getting warmed up to it. They start the Savage tiers, and then eventually they'll start going to ultimate tiers, which I think is the closest thing together with Criterion Savage that might come to mythic rating in World of Warcraft. I'm not going to say it's the same. I'm just going to say that's probably the closest it's going to get to it. Especially when you explained earlier on, like, when you've cleared that, it's just a certain feeling, and the people that you do it with, like, that's ultimate in Final Fantasy XIV. And then there is people like me who tend to just do like roulettes and stuff together, maps, the community-driven thing that happens, but that's just the biggest cams are story and Savage content. Now that you are done with the story content, how do you see yourself continuing your Final Fantasy XIV journey on stream from here on out? Like, I know you've started dabbling in Savage already a little bit.
Yeah. I can't. So this is the thing. Because I started raiding in World of Warcraft, I can't dedicate to doing Savage raiding. It's one or the other. I can't do both. Because with World of Warcraft, it's a minimum of 2 nights a week, and at the moment it's 3 nights a week. And I have a social life. This is the thing. Like I have
Yeah, you are
friends
a
that
rare
don't
breed.
game. I have friends that don't game, so I interact with them like a lot, like in real life, and that's the thing. Like I just do not have the time. It's
Just give up social
I
life.
would
What's the problem?
I was about to say, like,
No.
Sarcissa is a very, very rare breed, which I don't say they don't exist, but they're definitely a lot rarer in the gaming community. We've got the introverts and the lesser socialized people that do like to occasionally talk about things with people, but rather not the small talk. Let's really talk about the things that matter. And it all takes energy. I just want to recharge after a while. And there aren't many extroverts who really like to socialize and be around other people and get the energy from that really tend to spend a lot of time in gaming. And Sarcissa happens to be a bit of both.
yeah, which is very difficult to balance, especially with working. I think with Final Fantasy 14, there's still quite a lot of older content that I've never experienced. So I think there's still a lot of space there for me to do some nice group content with people. And like
Just
rotate
do
people through
fishing.
that. And no, I'm not a profession person. No. I'm not a profession person. I'm sorry.
I'm interested. I already found it interesting that I managed to get her into Gold Saucer that she had never done before.
Yeah, I'd never been to Gold
Okay.
Saucer because this is the thing is like I have literally only done MSQ.
Yeah.
I have done none of the side content in the game. Like
That's why I'm so
Dumping
curious
puzzles.
now, because you only have 6.5 left, which I
Yes,
can see you're
exactly.
stalling, because that's also on brand for you.
Yeah. Yeah, Esutick gave me the
what
name
is next?
Scholar. Yeah, I think there's a lot of side content that I would really like to get stuck into. Like, I really want to take a look at the variant. Sorry, my
The
brain
Variant Dungeon, more into
my brain lagged there. Yeah, the variant and the Criterion dungeons. I think that would be really good fun to do. I love the flexibility in that type of content. The fact that you can do it yourself, you can do it like it's scalable as well. So like you could do it. Oh, if there's only 2 of you manage to show up that night, then fuck it, you can just go in with 2 of you. I love that idea.
I'm not even kidding.
Yeah, well, it's time. She knows.
She
wait,
always comes up.
Yeah.
Time,
yeah.
Mom.
Do you share? Like is your community like share between World of Warcraft and Final Fantasy, or do you have like some
That's a
people that are
loaded question.
different?
Oh, I've did some of the mediation I have had to do has been
Okay.
yeah.
Because World of Warcraft kind of like you got to do what you got to do. Like you have your weekly resets, you have your raiding with your guild and all of that. Well, in Final Fantasy, you could potentially just let your community, take you where they want you. If you're playing this game more on a like a chill level in a way where you're not playing on super end game. Man, like they're some of the most creative community that I've seen. Not gonna lie, and you might be able to just, let them take you, like get this mount. Which like some mounts you need certain achievements or whatever or stuff like that.
Nice. I got all my ponies. I've got all my burbs. I haven't got my doggos yet. I haven't worked through my doggos yet.
Do you have the most important mount in the game, the flying sheep? Okay.
No.
Okay.
He does.
Of course I do. That was the first thing I did. Like I saw there's a little flying sheep that you can, mount. That's it. That's all I need. There's a Lala,
I've got my Alex mounts and I've got my Omega mounts.
Also pretty
I
buggers.
don't even know what that is. But yeah.
Not Omega 12. I didn't get the Omega 12 Savage mount. But I got the Alex mounts and I got 04 and 08. But yeah, again, that's a lovely group of people that I met like through the community, and that I've just continuously like you branch off once you meet like a group of people, then you kind of just branch off. But yeah, I think the last thing I would say is that Fanfest was an amazing experience. I
Mm.
got to meet about 10 people from my community alone
Oh, that's awesome.
at Fanfest.
Ah.
And it was so lovely because I had so this happened at TwitchCon. So TwitchCon Amsterdam, it was the first time that Esutick and I met face to face.
Yeah.
And
where we
had
found
lunch.
out how close we lived together.
Exactly. And TwitchCon Amsterdam was really hilarious for me because I remember I went there on during the Saturday daytime, and then on the Sunday morning I was actually in someone's stream. Like on the Sunday morning I was just in someone's stream, like saying hi and chilling before I went over to the con that day. And someone was in there like, "You were spotted yesterday." I was like, "What?" They were like, yeah. Like, you were spotted at TwitchCon. I'm like, well, duh, I'm there. But, like, who? Because nobody came up to me. Like, nobody came and said hi.
I'll share
But
it.
I think... And, yeah, so then the next day, on the Sunday, the guy who had, like, said that he'd met me, oh, look at that gorgeous love.
I'm giving
He's so
belly rubs here.
cutie. But, this guy then came up to me on the Sunday. He was like, "Hey, I'm so and I was like, "Oh my god!" So I got to meet him and his girlfriend, who I also like
That's
we're
the
more
best
like
part.
acquaintance level, like knew from other streams. So it wasn't like direct connection, but we knew each other from other people's streams that we like played in together. And it was such that at that point I had like 300 like followers or something, and most of them were people that I knew from other streams. It wasn't organic. It wasn't organic community build up or anything. And that was such a lovely feeling. And then I went to FanFest and I met like 10 people who I've been playing Final Fantasy with for like 2 years.
That's just
and I was like,
experience.
this is such a crazy feeling. It was such an amazing feeling. And they were all super lovely people. We hung out a bunch. We were eating together. We would meet up randomly. And what made me really happy is that actually Esutick got along really well with quite a lot of them as well, which I was really grateful for, because we ended up spending quite a lot of time with them. So I was really glad that you did find a gel with those guys, because I know what it can be like when you're meeting somebody else's people. I know that can be a little bit difficult because you don't know the kind of people that they're going to be. But yeah, I was so grateful that
in our circles,
you did get on.
Yeah, we did. You mean your community is so lovely. It's hard
the
not
sweetest
to.
little
They're so
bum-bums.
sweet,
I
and they were
love
so
them.
welcoming to me as well, which was just, they embraced me and took me in
they
as
knew
well.
that you were the only reason I was there.
So that's why they were nice to me. No,
of course not. They because they know you from the chat as well, and I've raided you, so they know what you're like as a person and as a streamer and what your personality is. But yeah, like I wouldn't have got to meet them without you, so I'm still eternally grateful for you taking me and agreeing to have me as your +1.
Yes, and I am
That's
very,
awesome.
very happy you came with me. And you are the luckiest +1 on this planet, you bitch. Because
It pays to know people.
Yeah, so there was, when we went to FanFest, you got this little goodie bag with a lot of like cool merchandise in there. I still have like some of it over here with like a pin badge in there and some coasters and whatnot. It was really super cool. And there was also like a ticket in there with a QR code that you could scan, and it had the names of the director, Yoshi P, the music producer, Soken, and the band, the Primals, the devs, and everything on there. And you could select who you'd want to potentially win the raffle of a meet and greet with. Some of them were a photo op, some were a meet and greet, some were a signing session. And so we obviously, the both of us, ticked off as many as we could, if not all. And every 2 hours we had to refresh that to see if we had won something, and not even like 2 hours after being into the first day of FanFest, I scrolled on my phone and I just literally started shaking and going into tears, and she's like, "What the hell is going on?" And I was like, "I'm going to meet the director, Naoki Yoshida."
Wait,
and she was like, "Oh my god." Sorry?
Yeah,
Did you win it
Esutick
or?
won.
I win it.
Okay, okay.
Yes.
Oh,
And
so she was
so
your muse, kind of,
she was my
sorta.
+1.
Yeah, I
So
know,
she
but in this
had
situation, she
heard. So
went to like.
this wasn't communicated. It wasn't actually being communicated that you could bring a +1 to these meet and greets, but she had heard it of
Ah,
someone else that it was possible. So she was like, "I'm coming along with your +1," and I'm like, "Hell yeah, you're coming along with +1."
nice.
When she was standing in line with me, she was being told, like, okay, you are the +1, you get nothing. You get to take a picture of her, taking a picture with him, which eventually also didn't end up, which was a bit sad and disappointing, but whatever. You don't get an autograph, nothing. She just stands next to me. She gets handed over the paper to get an autograph. She still gets to shake his hand. She still got an autograph. She even got to talk with him a little bit. Like, I was just stumbling and starstruck and just like all I could muster out where I was excited for the new class that was just released. But you, girl, the words to you.
nice.
Yeah, I think I said to him, like, oh, I'm super excited for Japan because I'm really excited to see the new range class release. It's something I can't play melee very well at all. And especially in Final Fantasy, melee is just not my jam. I haven't figured it out yet, and I really love playing ranged classes, whether it's magical, physical, or playing healers. So when I heard that there was like a new ranged class coming out, I was like, oh yes. This is it, because I'm a red mage main, right? Red mage is the best thing ever.
What
And
was I playing? I don't
yeah,
even know. I was healing with something, but I don't know what.
Yeah, you were healing. I think a white
so
mage.
Maybe white
I
mage.
basically said to him, I'm super excited for Japan. I cannot wait for the announcement if it's as good as, what Viper was. Like, that was so classy. And he was like, what do you want? I was like, well, I want a caster because I play red mage. So
But you didn't
Yoshi P
exactly
asked me
answer
what I
back.
wanted.
Yeah.
So if it happens, it's your fault. If people don't like it, you're gonna be blamed for it.
Oh, I just asked for a caster. I didn't say what kind. I didn't
I
give them
know,
any
but
format, but I want a
if
caster.
it's a caster
There's
now,
two
we all
physical
know
ranges already.
who's responsible.
Oh
for
yeah,
this.
it's all me. It's not like they've had this plan for like 2 years or anything.
Nah, that's not true. I know. I worked in the gaming industry. When a fan asks for something like that, 100%, if it happens, that's the reason why it happened.
Of course.
You've heard it here first.
And it didn't
That's
end
awesome.
with that, with her luck as being a +1, because day 2 happened. Day 1 happened, nothing that she won on the meet and greets, nothing. Day 2, neither any luck for anything. But then
So there is I'd heard in another community that I'm in, Cloda Lunaria, there was one girl in that community that had got tickets to Fanfest, and she messaged me when she found out I was going, and she was like, oh my god, can we meet up or whatever? And we'd been messaging since we both arrived on the Friday, trying to find each other. I kid you not, like the streams of conversation where she's like, oh, I'm here, and I'm like, oh, well, I'm here. It's like, oh, well, you know what it's like, just passing ships like
Big
constantly,
venues. Yeah.
right? And it's like 4:30 on Sunday, and I'm like, I'm never gonna meet this chick. This is like the worst thing. I'm never gonna meet this girl. And we promised Chloe that we would get a pic together. And I was like, shit, we need to make this happen. And I'm like sat there, I've got a coffee, I've got like Esutick a coffee, and then I get a message. She's like, I won. She'd already won and got a photo up with the primals on Saturday, right? This girl and her man.
So lucky.
She won a
Twice.
photo op with Keiko and Amanda Akin. And it was the last session of the day on the Sunday. And she was like, do you want to come with me? I was like, sorry, what?
Nice.
She's like, +1. Like, my man is not interested. He got to see the primals. That's it. He's done. Do you want to come as my +1? Because she knew nobody else that was at the convention. I was like, and I'm just stood there, and I've literally been in the queue for coffee for like 35 minutes. And I haven't been interacting with Isu, and I'm like, I have coffee, and I just look at her, and she's like, go.
Of course.
Like, and she went, and she was gone.
Go. And I was like,
okay. I was like, okay, well, there she went.
Wait, but that's the right call. Come on.
My brain wasn't functioning by this point. It was 4:30 p.m. after on a Sunday after a 2-day con. Like, my brain was just complete mush. Like, I had no idea what I was doing. So when she was
a great
like,
call.
Go. Oh yeah,
really
and it was a really nice picture, and it was really lovely to meet them. They are so insanely beautiful women and so incredibly talented. So gracious, such lovely, lovely people.
For
Really.
context, Keiko is a pianist who does a lot of the music for Final Fantasy XIV that's being composed by Soka, and she creates the piano versions of it. And Amanda Akin is such a beautiful voice that tears us apart into 1,000 pieces with the most emotional songs and emotional, heartfelt
You're gonna have
moments
me
being
tearing up
sung.
thinking about this already. Please stop. Please stop.
There's
I don't want
something
to cry here too.
a lot of people agree with that. Music is one of the strongest parts,
Yeah.
pieces of Final Fantasy, like as a franchise overall. So their audio artists are definitely superstars. So
Yeah.
that's amazing.
Absolutely.
That's amazing. That was a lucky con. Not gonna
Very
lie.
lucky.
Really.
We ran out of
Insanely.
luck though, because we should have picked either Chinese or Italian for food, because apparently that's where Sakaguchi, the founding father of Final Fantasy, the one who started it all, was
Yeah.
at this Fanfest. And apparently he was eating at an Italian and eating at a Chinese restaurant. And people that did
Got
not
it.
get tickets to the Fanfest were still around the venue to meet up with their, friends and everything, and people from the RFC. And some of them were very lucky to have Mr. Sakaguchi come into the
Wow.
restaurant where they were eating, where they could take a picture and get autographs without any hassle of the security
Jeez.
that was absolutely, apparently, a freaking nightmare during the event, because they didn't want him to sign anything that wasn't the paper for fear of it being put online for
Like,
high
Yeah.
prices and
yeah,
whatever. So I heard a lot of horror stories of people that did not have a great experience on the fest trying to get this moment with him, but there were a few lucky souls just sitting in a restaurant eating
Wow.
their dinner and having Sakaguchi come in.
That's
yeah,
amazing.
I mean, at that level, they need to be super careful. But I guess he
Yeah.
also needed a break, and just like being a human being, like.
Oh yeah,
whatever.
he was totally like.
But now you know
just
where to find
doing
him
his
next
thing.
time.
Yeah, so next time we need
It's
to eat
experience.
Chinese or Italian, because that's apparently where we can find.
Makes sense.
Awesome.
But yeah,
Okay.
no, it was super great. I
I'm
think we should
ending
end it
this.
here. We could talk like
we
a million
did
more.
double episode basically, which I look. You know what? We're usually very adamant that like ending at an hour, but we didn't do a podcast in such a long time.
So hopefully,
And it was just a smooth
treat is
conversation. It
enjoyed
was
by
really
everyone.
nice.
Yes.
Exactly. Before
Hopefully
we
this
go
makes
though,
up for it.
I mean, it was a great fun, obviously, and we could go on for another like 3 hours easily. I know, it always is the case. But Sarcissa, before we leave, I need you to tell us. Obviously, everything is in the description. So if you click down the description, you can find the links. But you tell us where can people find you and what they can expect.
So, you can find me obviously on Twitch. I'm also a little bit on Twitter, and I lurk a lot.
You mean X?
On
You're
X. I lurk a
Former
lot on
Twitter.
TikTok and Instagram. So if you want to interact with me there and send me hilarious memes, then feel free to do so. Most places the tagline is either Sarcissa or Sarcissa TV. And the next coming months is basically going to be probably quite a lot of Warcraft content, mostly around dungeons and raiding. However, I am quite excited to get stuck into some of the side content of Final Fantasy XIV, so let's see what happens. My streaming schedule is a mystery. Even to me. So I'm sorry, but you might just have to go drop me a follow if you want to find out, because I really do not have much of a fixed schedule right now.
And it's free.
My life
Follows
is
are
busy.
free.
Sounds like a very
So-
good plan. She's getting very close to 1K, so we
I know,
need
right?
to
Exciting.
actually get that to make happen. Do you have a milestone for yourself set, what you want to do if you reach 1K? Some people don't, some people do.
So I've done a couple of milestones in the past. So like I think at 500 I did a horror stream.
Oh yeah, remember that, the little nightmares.
My Little
That was
Nightmares.
a
That's not a horror
mistake.
stream. That's a beautiful game.
Yeah, it's very cute, but it was horror for her.
I'm a very jumpy person.
So am I. I don't like horror games, but My Little Nightmares is amazing.
Okay, so like I didn't find it horrific in terms of like disgusting or like gory.
Yeah.
But I'm just a very jumpy person.
Yeah.
It's very
It's jump
jumpy.
scary, and I also put all the jump scares down to 0 bits so that everyone could literally just
And
have
people
like,
were really
Oh, you're
taking
crazy.
the piss
Okay.
with you as
Oh,
well.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
no,
I
I
remember that
it
very
That's where
well.
the problem
People were
is.
going
It was a
for you.
milestone.
Yeah.
But I have been so unlucky. There's been so many milestones I've missed. I've missed both of my like affiliate anniversaries, etc. So because of like real life things getting in the
Yeah.
way, I've not been home. I've been traveling. I've had to see family. I've never managed to do a birthday stream because I'm never here. So it's one of those things. I would like to do something at 1K. We'll need to see when it happens. If it happens before I start working again, then that's more likely that I can plan
That's
maybe
a
something
challenge,
a little bit
people.
more
Let's see if we
involved.
can get to 1K within the next couple
But
of
no
months.
I
no
mean-
cream pies though. No cream pies because
Mm.
like you know like I've seen all sorts of like the paper plates with like squishy cream and everything. Like no, we're not doing any of that. Nothing messy.
There's My Little
I need to
Nightmares too.
protect my there is that I bought it and it sat
It's
there
awesome.
waiting for another horror stream, so
So
another jump
Oh.
scare stream.
there we go.
Oh, so I hear that we have something.
Yeah.
Potentially,
I actually have a
backup
I've got a
plan.
backstash of games. Yeah, I've got a backstash
yeah.
of jump scare games.
Very
Yes.
nice. Very nice.
I would not disclose that if I had it. I totally don't. I can't. But My Little Nightmares is such a great experience. I really love the game.
Yeah.
It's really good. Okay. Well, I had an absolute blast. It's been worth a wait. Yeah, I don't really have anything. I'd like to pick your brain more about, especially about World of Warcraft, because we don't have that quite often here. We get people from most of the games that we're currently playing and streaming and whatnot, because that's how you connect, kind of. But yeah, unfortunately, time is a thing in this world, which sucks sometimes.
It is.
So yeah, any final words for you, Esu, first? Do you have anything to add?
Well, a little bit of a self-plug, but if you want
Let's
to
go.
see how our experience was at Fanfest, I do have a very short 20-minute-ish vlog that you can find in the description down below. So you can
Absolutely.
see what our little 5-day trip was like. Definitely go check it out.
Let's go. Are you still doing your shorts?
I am, yeah. It is.
Aha.
I'm trying to find a little bit of I started to feel like if I don't have any short, I need to go. Like I start to freak out about it. Like if I like wouldn't have a moment of updating shorts, but like I've stopped caring about that a little bit. Like if it's quiet for 2-3 weeks on my YouTube channel and there's like no
It's
shorts
okay.
updating, then it's fine. So be it. Like content will come again.
Yeah,
It just
you're not
sometimes
pushing
takes a
it
little
sometimes.
bit of time. Yeah, sometimes it
yeah,
just
yeah.
takes time to get like good clips. Sometimes I'm playing games that just don't really allow
Yeah, not all the games
for
are the
much
same.
interesting content. So there are a couple of them actually coming again because I've had some good weeks again. But it's also been a bit quiet.
Nice. And then any final words, Sarcissa?
Thank you very much for having me. This has been a very interesting first foray into the podcast world. So thank you for having me.
Thank you for
Thank you so
joining
much
us.
for joining us.
Yes.
I had a
And being
blast.
patient and everything. Yeah. Okay, I can do it. I struggle with this. This is the most difficult part for me. But if you enjoyed what you've seen, there's a little red button under, and you can subscribe. It's free. It's absolutely free. We're not gonna bother you to ring the bell and everything. Usually we do this bi-weekly, but life is sometimes a thing, and we fail to do it. And hopefully we'll try in the future as good as we can. This is a hobby for both of us. We're not doing it for any personal gain or anything. We are just really, really enjoying connecting with other content creators, learning about their struggles and ups and downs, and getting to know other absolutely amazing human beings like Sarcissa. And yeah, can't wait to see you again in the next one. Ladies, thank you so much for being here tonight and taking the time of your life to have some fun all together. And we'll see you later. Take care. Bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.